I don't mean it to you personally. I don't even know you. You know, I got nothing against you. I don't know you personally, but I know you historically. You can't have it both ways. You can't swear to the freedom of all mankind and put me in chains.
It sounds as if you believe that slavery put a curse on us somehow.
Well, it is a curse, you know. Um, the American sense of reality is dictated by what Americans are trying to avoid. And
I want to say thank you to each and every one of my Patreons that help support the channel. I want to say if you want to help support the channel, get this content to more people, hit that Patreon link, or go ahead and subscribe to me on Twitch. Thank you for watching the show and supporting, and here we go.
All right. Now, this next video, I'm deciding that we're going to start off, kind of get our feet wet in a couple of things. I promised, Joe is in the chat. I promised that I would actually go over the debate with James Baldwin and I forgot what the other cat's name. But this is actually something where I feel like we just need to address because of a lot of other shit that's happening. And what a lot of people don't realize is something I know just looking at me. Did you guys know that I'm black? I know, shocked. I wake up every day and look in the mirror and say, "Damn, I'm black." And it's interesting because being someone who is on the left, being someone who has to deal with the systems of oppression that people of color has to deal with, I also have to balance that with a lot of people who, let's just say, want to use their pain and the past shit experiences they use to actually justify revenge, and that's not fun. And it's always a delicate line. You guys know I've done videos about it. By the way, if you haven't done so, please like, subscribe when it comes up on YouTube, share the video, and like help me reach 1,000 subscribers. But you guys know how I felt about people who use their pain, use the history of torment and suffering as a justification for their own hatred. Don't like it. And it's always been a delicate balance. And this is somebody, James Baldwin. A friend of mine told me about a Netflix show, I Am Not Your Nigger or Negro, that's on Netflix. I suggest you guys watch it. It's narrated by, Samuel L. Jackson about James Baldwin's final book that I don't think he ever completed. But let's go to this video. This is a video of James Baldwin doing doing an interview with ABC. Now, let's just get into this video. Here we go.
Baldwin, take one.
white people go around, it seems to me, with a very carefully suppressed terror of black people, a tremendous uneasiness. They don't know what the blackface hides. They're sure it's hiding something. What it's hiding is American history. What it's hiding is what white people know they have done and are doing.
So that's just an interesting. It's an interesting little take right there. And the sad part about it is, what he's just describing is the history that Americans actually went through. And yeah, I pre-watched this video. I watched it. I was doing research for it. And what he's actually describing is, well, a lot of white people, liberals, fucking racists, even the ones that said there are no racists left in America, they wouldn't want to trade places with the black person for a day, for a week. They know that. That's just like the little fucking red pill guys who sit back and say, "Oh, women have it easy." They don't want to trade places with these people that they think that have easy. Because if they did, they would shit themselves. But let's go. Let's go.
White people know very well one thing, and it's the only thing they have to know. If they know this, everything else I say is a lie. They know they would not like to be black here. They know that. Now they know that, and they're telling me lies. They're telling me and my children nothing but lies.
Now this, I believe this was in the early 70s, early 80s, late 70s. Here, let's see, when would this, let me see if it comes out. Okay, yeah. Buried by ABC at the time, the segment has resurfaced over 4 decades later, revealing the unique glimpse into Baldwin's private life, as well as his resounding criticism about white fragility, and blisteringly relevant as blisteringly relevant today as it was in 1979.
Baldwin, the truth is that the ghettos of his youth remain, gnawing at the spirit of those who live there.
The poverty is piled high, making it even more inescapable. And making it even more inescapable how thoroughly you're despised. The high-rise slum becomes a high-crime area almost at once, because what are you going to do with all these children, really? Whole families condemned forever to nothing.
So another thing that this is talking about is like just simply redlining. This is the result of redlining, where you actually see communities of people where they just have nothing. Not because they don't want to work hard, not because they're lazy. It's literally because they've been pushed to these areas of just immense poverty. And then motherfuckers say, bootstraps. And then they want to tell people, oh, the reason why you don't have a job, not because you don't, there's not any economic opportunity, or because you didn't try not to be poor hard enough. Zip codes and shit like that. But let's continue.
In the richest city in the world. My best friend, a black boy, jumped off the George Washington Bridge when he was 24 and I was 22. And I was sure that I was going to be next.
Just from despair, or?
From despair, from rage, because you can get to a place, where you're in battle so often that that's all you can do.
So I found myself having several different conversations because I'm a person who talks to people in public. I know, right? Scary, right? I find myself talking to a lot of people. I live in the Chicago area. I live in Chicago. I live in a poor area. And the number one thing that I keep hearing is all these people just killing people for no reason. There is a sense of despair. There's a sense of just desperation isn't the word because people are desperate. They're doing shit like selling drugs, like causing violence, taking shit that's not theirs. And it's a despair factory in the results of these red line communities. It's a despair factory as a result of these communities that have been forgotten by investment. And the only time investment comes in is to take advantage of the people or to get them where the gentrification can start. These are fucking despair factories. And this hasn't changed in the fucking 40 years or 43 years that this video has come out. Yeah, and yeah, deindustrialization did not help. Now, yes, did it get the production of toxic shit out of the area, and ask like places like Flint, ask places like East Chicago, Indiana, they didn't clean shit up. Ask places like Gary, they didn't clean shit up. But the factories, they're gone that poison people. Now just the ground and the shit that the poison is still left in the ground. Now, and what people rarely forget that the Rust Belt, they lost jobs to the South first. Then they moved out of the country. But nobody talks about that. But these are just despair factories. And you sit up and say, why don't areas like... Yeah, there are still Superfund sites in this area that the EPA now, thanks to the Supreme Court, has no power to regulate in a substantial way. Well, I guess that was emissions, but we know that if you're already weakened to prevent emissions, a lot of places don't want to prevent anything else or require cleanups. But let's go.
You've been beaten so hard. All you can do is your world narrows to a kind of red circle of rage. And you begin to hate everybody, which means you hate yourself. And when that happens, it's over for you.
So this is another thing too. And like I said, in the beginning, in the intro, we want to ask you to like and subscribe. But a lot of people use that anger and that rage in what I feel is irresponsibility to start hating other different races, other people that may not have the same level of despair that you have, but still kind of in a state of getting fucked over by the system. And I have an issue with that. That's my personal issue, and I don't think that having that hatred for people that don't have any control isn't productive. But it is a understanding mindset to actually come into, especially when you are just desperate or you're under despair. And there's an enterprise zone scam that pushed by Jack Kemp, areas designated to be had tax forgiveness and no regulations, and enterprising zones, or what are a few of them, hard hit zones because of the pandemic. Yeah, and nothing goes to those areas. Nothing goes to those areas. Investment comes to areas around it. Like there are areas in Lower Manhattan that get money for investment zones because they're around, they're adjacent to a poor area.
Baldwin has taken that despair and rage and turned it into novels, theater, and essays. Characters drawn from his family and friends. This fall, Dial Press is publishing his 19th book, a novel called Just Above My Head, the story of a black gospel singer during the civil rights struggle.
Now I don't know if this music could actually get copyrighted. Let's see.
The gospel church is a theme running through much of Baldwin's work. His father was a minister, and Baldwin himself became a preacher at the age of 13.
Now, this is one thing that I kind of don't like when, especially in a lot of different communities, in order to only get listened to, you can't be a non-believer. And another thing too, I'm glad that James Baldwin has actually been someone, when he was alive, that was able to use the gift of being able to speak with people through the written and spoken word. I just wish that it wasn't just in the auspices of a church. That's just me. But let's go.
His play, The Amen Corner, shown in revival at Lincoln Center's Black Theater Festival, was drawn from his own experiences in the pulpit.
My man look like a young Will Smith. Why they keep playing him? Is it me or is it that it feels like they just playing this like for a long period of time because they think black people and gospel singers? Okay, I'm being an ass. So okay, let's go.
For many growing up in poverty, the church is the only consolation.
And that's a problem because the churches aren't doing anything for it because they are benefiting from the system. If the church actually cared, if any churches actually cared, they would have a national, a global day of prayer for the fucking poor. They don't care. They don't. Because what they concerned about is taking care of their congregation. And even though their Christ actually said, whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me, they're so concerned with keeping their power and keeping the people in their pews, they don't care. And also, they protect a lot of predatory people. But let's go.
Baldwin left the church. He wanted to do more than to console. Often,
Exactly! Wow! And see, that's the shit that I was just saying that. But yeah, let's go.
Baldwin speaks to youngsters who grew up as he did, letting them know the future holds a place for them. On this day, he spoke at the Police Athletic League in Harlem.
A writer might be a dancer, might be a carpenter, might be architect, might be a junkie, might be any number of things.
What was the church of Dr. King has become a church? Oh no, I have seen Martin Luther King the third, and if you've ever watched that documentary, and I suggest everybody, if you haven't been able to do it, watch the documentary Contradiction, where the guy's talking about how churches don't do shit, and they are talking to other people, and a lot of them are just like, well, we are told to be happy with us not being able to do. Like, no, it's watch Contradiction, story of faith. That's yeah.
I think there's still a chance for today's black writer.
There never was a chance for a black writer. Come, what's your name? Jeffrey. Listen, a writer, black or white, doesn't have much of a chance, right?
I mean, like, kinda is true. I mean, like, of course, this is back in the late 70s where it was a transition to more of television and video, and I mean, like, being a writer now, unless you're writing for Disney, which you still don't get much credit, writing a book is hard, and even with the self-publishing right now, writing a book is hard. But I don't think that James Baldwin is just gonna leave it there.
Nobody wants a writer until he's dead.
God damn it, he's so fucking true. Nobody wants a writer until they die, or an artist. Like, literally, you want to have your work skyrocket in value as a writer. Die. Like, fuck, just die. Make something, and it could be shit, but it can be heralded as your magnum opus. And I was like, they're great writer. Like, fuck. Like, look, I I wish more writers would be able to just put out their work and, you know, shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. Hello, Joanne. And maybe they will be remembered as the most prolific writer as half of a century. But they go and talk about some turf shit. But you know, I'm just saying. Okay, let's go.
But to answer your real question, there's a greater chance for the black writer today than there ever has been.
This is true.
The children asked him the same question I wanted answered. Why did he move to Paris?
Paris is very important to me because I was able.
Wait.
Now, did Democrats sell out labor?
You telling me that a black man in 1979 either live in the USA in 1979 who is outspoken about racial conflict, who saw Medgar Evers, who saw Martin Luther King, who saw Malcolm X actually getting murdered? Why would he move to Paris after all that shit? And he's outspoken about race issues. And this is Paris. I know there's still racism in Europe and Paris and shit like that. But Paris, where, you know, one of the most prolific writers of a story that the French recognize, the Three Musketeers, not Musketeers, Musketeers, was written by a black man. You asked why he moved to Paris? Yeah, sure.
Well, I was able to take a deep breath, and I was able. This may sound a very corny way to put it, but I wanted to find out where being black ended, where I began, or vice versa. I mean, that some things had happened to me because I was Jimmy, and some things had happened to me because I was black. And I wanted to find out how to get these things together, because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life going around saying, you treat me that way because I'm black.
That's like asking Frederick Douglass, why did you go to Europe for a little bit? Like, what the fuck? Wait, what? I'm sorry. And he even said, he was like, can I go over there and find out am I Jimmy or because I'm black? Yeah, fuck. All right, let's go.
After attaining worldwide acclaim as a black writer, Baldwin wrote Giovanni's Room, an explicitly homosexual love story. His publishers in New York refused to print it for fear of alienating his newly acquired white, middle-class audience. Baldwin was furious and took the book to England for publication.
You published Giovanni's Room very early on in your...
I finished the book in 55.
And
56.
that, to deal with homosexuality was
Yes.
difficult.
You know what the sad part about it is? People actually believe there were no gay people until 1970s. But this motherfucker was willing to put his career on the line to tell a story. All right, let's go.
And you already were dealing with,
Yeah.
black writer.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, one can say almost that I didn't have an awful lot of choice. It was something. Giovanni's Room comes out of something which tormented and frightened me. The question of my own sexuality. I used to know when I was younger a great many men, boys, who were so terrified that they might have a homosexual and, they might be bisexual, or they might, want to go to bed with a man. Might be able to fall in love with a man. And they were so frightened of that they could never fall in love with anybody else.
And God. So, as a person growing up, I've always been attracted to women. I've never had an attraction towards a man. It's just not my thing. I don't understand the concept of having who I want to go to bed with, who I want to love, being seen as fucking wrong. I can't understand that concept. That shit is foreign to me because we live in a heteronormal world. But this is 2022. I have all the respect in the world. If literally somebody wrote a book about this shit in 55, where they were still talking about if you smoke marijuana, then you may be the gay. You know, it's like that is just respect. Just respect. But let's continue.
You know, it was so frightening men they couldn't touch women. Giovanni's room comes somewhere out of that.
Did you also feel that you wanted to get it on the record, your own homosexuality, early?
I don't know if that. Well, I don't know if I wanted to get it on the record, but I wanted to confront it. I'm very glad that that was done, because it also simplified my life in another way, because it meant that I had no secrets. Nobody could blackmail me. You know, you didn't tell me, I told you.
James Baldwin.
That's just awesome. Like, okay, so the fuck what? He was like, he was gay. What you gonna do? Blackmail me, motherfucker? I came out as, I know this is a bad analogy, but I came out and put my dick on the table. Was like, try it, motherfucker. You ain't gonna blackmail me. I'm gonna fucking love who the fuck I want to love. You got a problem with it? Suck all of my testicles. God, bad analogy, but you know what the fuck I mean.
Baldwin is one of those lucky people who's never been unsure of his family's love. The oldest of 9 children, he was helped financially by the others during his struggling years in France. Now he's in the States more than in Europe, and with his family more often than not. With the success of his books, he was able to buy a Manhattan apartment building where his mother and several family members live now. Mrs. Baldwin's apartment is a center of activity for the whole family.
Now you know that this is grandma. Like, don't you start that shit in my house. Don't you start that shit in my house. I'll cut you. Like, this is that grandma. Like, oh baby, God bless your soul, but you roll up on mine, I will put you in a box. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. Let's go. Shit. Okay, let's go.
Do you think he was going to be as big a success and as important?
No, I didn't think that. But I knew that he had to write.
Barbara!
Brothers and sisters and friends of the family were there. Nieces and nephews underfoot.
How's everybody?
He still can't upstage me now.
Conversation ran the gamut of subjects, but Baldwin's mood turned when we spoke of the American attitude toward blacks.
It's a price this republic exacts. Any black man or woman walking. And that is a crime. I paid for that crime in my life. And I don't believe my countrymen anymore. They will not do to him what they failed to do to me. I was 7 years old 47 years ago, and nothing has changed since then. Look.
Damn it! It's just so powerful. This shit is so powerful. But let's continue.
Look, I don't mean it to you personally. I don't even know you. You know, I got nothing against you. I don't know you personally, but I know you historically. You can't have it both ways. You can't swear to the freedom of all mankind and put me in chains.
It sounds as if you believe that slavery put a curse on us somehow.
Well, it is a curse, you know. The American sense of reality is dictated by what Americans are trying to avoid.
And this shit is still prevalent today as it was in 1979. There are people that are still trying to erase slavery from the history book. They are literally in Texas. They tried forced migration as the African slaves were forcibly migrated. Look, this shit is fucking crazy. It is, this shit, he said it in 1979 that he was 7 years old 47 fucking years ago. And it has been another 40 fucking years from that time. To be exact, 43. So that is 90 years from that time. Let's continue.
If you're trying to avoid reality, how can you face it? You know, if you don't know what is going on in the ghettos of this nation, in the hearts and minds of women and men you see every day, you don't, first of all, in that case, you don't really know what's going on in your own heart and mind. And you have no way of knowing what's going on in the hearts and minds of millions of people on this globe.
You have told people, this nation in particular, a lot of what they don't want to hear.
Yeah, I have. I've tried. You never know. But I tried, yes, to, the song says, wake the children sleeping. You know, I'm supposed to be a disturber of the peace.
Still preaching, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? And this is the thing where, and he said it. This is, and you can actually say is no, you can hear that there is no animosity towards one specific person. He said it. I don't know you personally, but what I want to do is teach you. And if you don't understand your own fellow countrymen who are literally walking down the street, how could you understand yourself? There is a channel that I watch, and I mentioned it on this channel a lot, Bo the Fifth Column. He says that the erasure of the things that this country has done and continues to do is people that don't want to learn about history. People who want to identify with the bad guys. The people who did horrible shit. And then they get upset when their children find out about it. You want to identify with the bad guys. I am not saying, Lord knows I'm not saying, that we should not have a conversation about our shared history. The truth, not just American mythology of what goes on. And from the ghettos of the big cities to the hollers down in Middle Tennessee and all of the, podunk towns that aren't filled with black people, but still are filled with poor people. We should have that. And we should, as a fucking country and as a world, look at making sure that we bring together those of us who need to work to live. It's telling. And yeah, that's, I don't know what else to say, but like, share, and subscribe. Also, join my Patreon if you can, or subscribe to my Twitch. I want to say thank you. Help me hit 1,000. Help me hit 1,000 so we get more of these messages out and share my videos. All right. Cut the segment here.
If I gave myself a pie